Coming up this week on Unpicked.
Yeah, he was painting himself like a ally to single women who are trying to date. All the while,
Doing his wife
you're
dirty.
cheating on your wife up and down anyhow. This one is messy.
If she said, yeah, you, boom, get on the stage, like, I'll be like, yo, I can't do that.
I can imagine if that question was put out on Twitter, a lot of women would be saying, you crazy.
Yeah, hell no.
Wagwan peeps, it's Venom, what you saying? Alongside my home slice, dammy to the zane. When she and I get together on the poddy, ask anybody, the vibes are insane.
Join our family and feel free to come by. We on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Yeah.
New drop on the way every Monday at 6.
Tune in and come see what we unpick.
I was watching old episodes the other day, sad like that, and I feel like you've changed.
I've changed. I'm always changing.
Yeah, I feel like before you were a bit more silly.
Okay.
I feel like it was a bit more silly, and now you're a bit more. You're too serious now. I want the old Venom back, the unserious one.
I guess it depends. It depends on topic of conversation, though. I can't be unserious about, I don't know.
I feel like marriage changed you.
That is without a doubt. I can tell you that for free. That's without a doubt.
It's changed you.
Marriage is not an easy life.
You're not like goofy like that no more, man. Yeah,
marriage is.
Whereas me, I'm still
difference.
my unserious self because nothing has changed me.
No, there's a lot of things working on me, boy. And then I think as well, again, even just like the path that I'm envisioning for myself, in terms of like what I'm doing work-wise, again, it's just like a whole next, not burden, but it's just like so serious. Trying to, just a lot of things are serious. It's
I hear
but
it.
it's
Anyway,
still me.
Yeah, I guess our dynamic has changed because you've changed.
Oh, I'm hearing.
But it's all right. We evolve. Let's say hi to everyone. Do you want to do the honors?
I can do the honors. Hello, people. What's good? Welcome to Unpicked, the only podcast that you should be watching. Really.
That's
truly.
right. That's right.
I am your boy, Mr. V to the E to the NXM in the building. And I'm joined with my co-host, Dammy to the Zane.
Hi, peeps. Hey, hello, hi, peeps.
And we, together, is the Unpicked crew.
That's it.
So, yeah, hopefully you're here to stay. You've seen some of our previous videos. If not, go check them out. There's loads and loads. And, we just get into it. That's what we do. We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on all the streaming platforms. So be sure to hit us up, give us a like. If you're on the listening platforms, give us the star ratings, write reviews, share our content to your friends, and we'll make the party bigger.
That's it. Oh, yeah, and sorry we weren't here last week.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that one. Sorry we weren't here last week. Life, innit? But we're here this week, so enjoy what you're getting, not what you ain't getting.
It.
You get me?
That's it. You get me. This or that?
Yes, sir. So, Miss Dammy to the Zane, I got 3 questions for you. The first one is, what song would you rather play? So this song is like a song that precedes you. What song would you rather be played every single time you enter a room? Is it Missy Elliott, She's Up? Or is it Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, WAP?
WAP.
Every time you walk into a room. Wow. Okey-dokey. Question 2. Would you rather go through your whole life being the most hilarious person or being the most intelligent person?
Good one.
I thought that one was time for you.
Because I pride myself in being smart and I pride myself funny, but which one do I pride
Indeed.
Humor. I want to be the funniest person.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to be the smartest and have a dry personality.
It doesn't necessarily mean you have a dry personality. It just means that there will always be someone funnier.
Okay, and being funny doesn't necessarily mean that I wouldn't be smart. I just wouldn't be the smartest. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I'd rather be the funniest and be smart. I don't need to be the smartest in the room.
Okay. Last question.
Okay.
Would you rather be trapped in a romantic comedy with the people you dislike the most in life, or be trapped in a horror movie with all your best friends?
Horror movie with all my best friends.
Damn. Damn. Can we get some explanation? Do you want to add some, I don't know, some defensive sauce?
Why choose to be with people I don't like when I could be with people that I love? Simple.
I get that, but you're also bringing all of your friends into this horror movie that they weren't a part of, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Damn. Cool. So I haven't done the research into this one, but basically, Derrick Jackson's wife. Have you seen that? Sorry, not Derrick Jackson's wife. We know that Derrick Jackson's wife, when I spoke on a podcast, we spoke about that before.
Ex-wife.
Oh, well, it was estranged at that point in time. Are they divorced now?
I believe
it wasn't divorced at that.
I believe
time.
Divorce has been filed.
Okay, cool.
But I don't know if it's been finalized.
If it's okay.
Yeah.
So then, the possibly ex-partners for sure. So now Derrick Jaxn has gone on the same podcast
that she was on. Oh,
the same one, not on a podcast, on the same podcast.
Oh, what, to give his side?
His side and explain why he cheated. I've only seen the clip. Do you want to? I guess doing socials.
Do you know what she said?
I can't remember because we did it at the time. I've got it on my phone / iPad. We didn't actually speak on it. Damn.
This happened during the break.
No, her one.
Her podcast episode happened during our break, and I remember because I wanted to talk about it when we come back, but then other things happened after that. And I was
really?
Like, yeah.
Maybe her clip was circulating long before the podcast was out, because I had a clip from a while back, if you know what I mean, her and the guy in the chair, unless she's spoken on another podcast.
Nah, I'm pretty sure.
It was like a bald black guy.
Yeah, remember we were on a break for a month. We
I thought you meant just a week.
No,
sorry, I thought you meant literally just this week.
Sorry. No, that wasn't a break. I was confused. That was
confused.
That was Dammy doing other things and didn't have time for the podcast.
No, that's fine.
Sorry, not sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry, not sorry.
That's fine.
The one before that was a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah. That is correct. Sorry. Okay, cool. So we didn't speak on it. I watched her clip.
Because what she spoke about was how she basically painted him like this manipulative cheat, and she might as well have just said he had a sex addiction, because she was basically
she said she knew several women's bodies,
and that they would walk past her. Yeah, she'd be walking in and they'd be walking out, and she knew about it, and she just thought this is what it is, and then she just painted him to be this big monster, basically. So what did Jackson say?
He came with
what did Derrick say?
He came with the rationalization of it. It was, considering I don't know this guy very well, it was very typical him from what I've seen so far, if you know what I mean. And I'll break that down and explain. As he said, so he brought up her past to start it, to give it context. So in light of our podcast episode this week not being about that subject, I'll just give everyone the trigger warning that in her past she had been
abused.
Sexually. Against her will, like the most extreme form, if you can. And that happened right before they got together. So he was like her knight in shining armor type
I get where this
vibe.
is going.
And then he basically said that his way of showing affection and being flirtatious and sexual with his partners is usually to be a bit not forceful, but it's a bit, you know what I mean, dominating, etc. Come up from behind someone, grab them by the waist, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
To which he said she was very, she reacted very negatively towards because of her previous experiences. And he said that basically it was making him feel sort of rejected. And so instead of him carry on to do those kind of things to her, he kind of sort of, it kind of...
I'm sorry. All of this is crap.
It kind of made him like...
All of this is crap.
Become more reserved. And then he started to loosen his boundaries with other women.
So he started
conversations.
to wonder because his wife was traumatized.
Essentially.
Okay.
Essentially, you need to hear it in his words because the way he paints pictures is different.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way to paint it that makes that sound fine.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Like,
mm-hmm. So that's what it ended up. That's what it ended up sounding like to me. So yeah. So I had to kind of just be like, okay, bro.
Basically, he made himself seem worse than what he already was. If that is what is taken from
if you break it. If you look into what he says, the way he says it, it doesn't come off that way. But if you actually analyze what he's saying, yes. But the way he says it, obviously, is sold very well.
Do you think someone like me would hear it and be like, I get where he's coming from, given
No, because you have the prior context of his character, so we already have very strong opinions of his character. So you're not. If you didn't know him, you might have maybe given it a more fair judgment, but we already know who he is. So it's kind of like...
I don't know. I don't think that... I mean, based on what you've explained, because I've not seen it myself, but based on what you've explained, that sort of explanation, I don't think you even need to have context of that person for you to think, do you know what I mean?
But he is a wordsmith, though. He's a master with words.
He's got the gift of the gab.
So that's why I'm saying... under different circumstances, other people might not hear it and think him to be in the wrong. Even though he doesn't say he's in the right.
I wish I had that sort of gift of the gab. Honestly, I'd be spinning people differently. Yeah, take it. I'll use it to my advantage. Why not? Why not?
I can't, man. My moral compass is set up different. I can't.
My thing is, if it's true, my thing is, you knew what trauma she had before. Why did you think that cheating to that extent would alleviate the situation? Or do you know what I mean? Like,
it wasn't that. It was more just him trying to like.
Not saying that that's what he said he was trying to do. Yeah. But what I'm saying is like, this person was your girlfriend, but you made her your wife. You said vows, and you know what trauma she went through before you met her, or just before you looked at whatever it is that I don't know the timeline or whatever. So what made you think that sleeping with other women would make the situation
be in any way
if not better, but at least bearable for the both of you? Because you made it bearable for you, but you didn't think about your wife at all. So there's no justification for that, because you were the one that was unfaithful. And then even if we look at, okay, she was jumpy, or she didn't like your advances because of what she's been through, then the question really should have been, and it sounds really cruel to say this, but in the beginning, when you first started dating, that's the time where you have to be selfish, kind of, where you have to be like, can I live with this situation? Are we compatible? And I know she's dealt, she's been through what she's been through, but at that time, before it turns into we're married, you have an opportunity to walk away and be like, do you know what? Respectfully, I care about you.
That's not,
and everything, and I need you to get the healing that you need, but I just don't think I'm good for you, in that I can't deal with this. I can't hold your hand and support you through what you need support with. So I might seem like a villain now, but trust me, if I stay, it'll be even worse, because I would, I've got needs. But you let it get to the point where you married this woman. Like, people need to be real with themselves and honest. Like, if there's something you can't deal with, don't deal with it. Don't let it get so far That's
fair, but
that's
then
the
sometimes
message
you need a season of something to understand that you're not equipped to deal with it.
At the moment that, for me, like, it's not like, okay, based on what you've explained of his explanation, is she went through something traumatic before they got together, right? So, okay, so they get together now. Are you telling me in the time that you were courting or dating or whatever they called it back then or whatever, right? When you try and touch her up, she didn't. You're telling me she only started doing that after you got married?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So if she was doing that from early, then, and you know what kind of person you are in terms of like, I know that I'm a physical touch person. I don't want my partner to flinch every time I touch them. But if you've got a partner that's flinching, then you need, at that point, you have to evaluate how important is that to me. That's really important. I don't think I can do this. And you bounce. Peace. Like, you'll be a villain, but it's better. That's a better villain.
It's the better. That's the kind. Yeah, exactly.
Than what you ended up doing, which is, oh, she's not satisfying my needs on a physical level, basically, is what he said. That's basically what he's saying. She wasn't satisfying my needs on a physical level. Not even talking sex, but like the little bits of physical. Do you know what I mean? Like touchy, feely, huggy. But you're a touchy person. You like that. She wasn't satisfying that part of your relationship or your needs. And so what you thought to do was to be doing that with other women and not do that with her. And what she's already experienced is traumatic enough. It can go one of two ways, where you feel like it's, like I said, out of body experience, or some women speak of not wanting to be touched, but some women speak of feeling like they're not worthy of real, like, physical touch, because that's what they've experienced. So you've put her through all of that. You could have just said, do you know what? I do love you. I care about you. But that's the reason why I'm deciding to walk away, because I don't think I'm equipped to deal with the trauma and the healing that you need to go through. And I might seem like the bad guy for choosing not to date someone that is a victim of such abuse, but I'd rather that than eventually cheat on you, because I know that that's what I need physically. And I actually respect men who are able to say, do you know what? I can't date someone monogamously, because I know that I can't stick to that. I know that any girl that tickles my fancy, I'm gonna want to taste it. Yeah, I'd rather a guy said to me, I don't think I can date you exclusively. I don't think I can be with you exclusively, because I know that I don't have the sexual discipline like that. It's not gonna work for me. And then I could be like, you know what? You saved my life. Thank you. You saved me from additional trauma. Bye bye, tata, c'est la vie. Then for you to pretend that you can do something that you can't do, and then years down the line, you just make it worse, if that makes sense.
Drag me online to be
be embarrassed, to become a bonnet of salvation. And now I've seen some of her content since the interview, and I'm still not convinced that she's okay. Because
I wasn't convinced she was okay from the first interview,
from the podcast, because now she does she does content around like Christianity and her faith, and she talks a lot about idolatry, and a lot of things that people don't realize is idolatry stems from idolatry as a sin, right? So she talks about things like dressing a certain type of way or caring too much about your looks is not only vanity, but it's idolatry and the reasons for that. So, but I'm explaining it in a way that sounds somewhat, I guess, plausible or sound or logical.
Oh, but she's like quite extreme with...
She's quite extreme with it. And also she's quite... I get cult vibes.
Yeah, I got that from the first interview thing about both of them anyway. In the way that he was...
I get cult
using
vibes.
the pastor and all of that.
And I get extremist. Extreme, like that's what I get from her. And you know, she does a lot of like reels and stuff now, and like you can tell that she's someone that's been through it. Do you get it? Like she's been through something. I can't put my finger on it. I can't explain it. Words can't explain what I see when I see. I can't explain it. I won't be able to. But you can tell that she's been through stuff. Do you get it? She's not. Yeah. I don't think she's okay. I think she's doing all this. She might as well make money out of the situation. She might as well become an influencer. Being a Christian influencer brings in money because people really go for
Christianity
it.
is a very lucrative
It's a lucrative religion. Not to bash it, and there's not a lot of people that do it with genuine intention. So you know, but that's set aside. But I just feel like he's not a nice person, and I don't think there's any way that you can explain what you did. And I think him going on that show was very selfish of him. I think him going on that podcast to say what he had to say was his way of trying to regain control from a situation where she was trying to get some sort of liberation. It was clear to me, it was clear that she did that podcast as a way of trying to heal. Do you get it? Like, do you know, like, just like, okay, I want to talk about what I went through rather than hiding. That could have been like a tool for healing for her, and he couldn't even let her have that. Like, let it be what it was. She said what she said. Let it be. You didn't need to come and steal her thunder and now make it again about you now, because you've gone on to say what you've got to say, and it brings up the whole conversation again. After she did her podcast, people spoke about it for a little bit, it died down. Now you've done yours, people are going to talk about it again, and you're just not letting her move on from it. You're not letting her have her. She's had her time. She's spoken about it. She closed that chapter, put a lid on it, and then here you come a month or so later, bringing it back up again. Because what?
Yeah, with your episodes.
Again, it's clickbait. It's for views. It's to make him relevant, and I just think that is selfish. She didn't have to do that, you know. But that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But I'll send you the clip so you can.
Yeah, please send it.
See what he said.
Yeah, please send it through. It's scary, man, because I used to really follow Derrick Jaxn. Like, his audience is for women, single black women. I would say even black women, like I could even go as far as to say dark-skinned black women who feel like or maybe not dark-skinned. Oh, maybe I can say that, but like I feel like his audience were like established women who felt like they were independent to an extent and they weren't being appreciated by men. And I feel like that was his target audience. And there's a lot of black women that are like that. And, you know, he was given advice about men, trashy men or washed men, or what's that term these lot like to use? Dusty men, and how to spot them. And, you know, if he treats you like this, walk away. And he was trying to empower women to take back control in like bad relationships and things like that. Only for him to be like, he's pretty much teaching women how to get away from men like him. That's how I see it.
Maybe his wife was watching the podcast and eventually she was
he was painting himself like a ally to single women who are trying to date. All the while,
doing his wife dirty.
You're cheating on your wife up and down anyhow.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, somehow I don't feel like that's changed his audience base. And
it hasn't, you know, because on TikTok he still has a big following and he still does the same sort of videos where he's talking into space as if he's on a podcast giving advice and whatever, and it's so pretentious. But I lost interest in him because I know what he's done. I guess some people, and another thing that, and I know I like to bookmark conversations. I mean, just don't go back to it. But I mean, we're not ending the podcast anytime soon, so we can always come back. But like, something needs to be studied around attractive black men and how black women give them the blie. Because I think if Derrick Jaxn wasn't so attractive, I don't think he would still have the following he has. He's a dark-skinned, I don't know how tall he is, but he's very handsome. He's ripped.
He's got athletic body. He's like 6 foot or more.
I don't know what his height is, but his hairline is on point.
Even complexion.
Hairline
fully intact.
Dark skin, very handsome.
Can speak, articulate himself very well. He's got
good language. He seems he can. I mean, I don't know if it's his true personality, but he can play off respectable. He's the kind of guy on paper and on the face of it that most black women will be like, if they're into black men, that's the kind of dark-skinned black guy most black women will be into on paper, the face of it. And I think people probably give him...
For a long-term relationship.
Yeah, and because of the things he says as well, it's like, yeah, he gets it, he gets me, and I think that's probably his MO. That's probably how he gets girls interested in him, isn't it? You know, just pander to them, and he panders to women, and I think that's why people have been able to like turn their blind eye on what he did to his wife. I don't think there's anyone that follows him that wouldn't know the scandal around him. They'll just ignore it or come to an excuse.
Yeah.
I've not heard, but I've seen black women in the comments be like, his wife was crazy, no wonder. Have you seen how she dresses? No wonder. Bonnet of salvation, no wonder. And I've seen black guys do it too. Like if my girl or my wife was walking around and she that's how she looked, then yeah. And people have kind of given it the blie. Like people have kind of explained away his behavior. And I think it's because he's attractive. If he wasn't attractive, they would have cancelled him. Done. He's gone. He's done out here. But yeah, that's my opinion on him and how he still managed to maintain a huge following despite the scandal surrounding him, you know?
I'd also think at a certain point you just can't be cancelled as well.
You think so? Do you think he's reached that point?
I think at a certain point, yeah, you just can't be cancelled. Like people can hate you, but like you're just a part of not the system to make it some generic thing, but you know, you're just a part of general consumption, like what people
I don't know if
go
I could,
to. Like
I don't know, man. I don't know if he's part of it like that. I think we could do with or without Derrick Jackson. Do you know what I mean? Like,
like I don't know nothing about him, but I think enough people like know about him.
There's a lot, especially in America. There's quite a few of these black guys that like to, on the face of it, they are the woman's spokesperson. Like the content they give is basically to empower women to do better with the choices that they make in relationships and kind of giving women the in on how men think and what men do and what to look out for. There's quite a few of them. So if Derrick Jackson fell off the face of the earth, I think there'll be enough people to carry on the movement. We don't need a Derrick Jackson. I mean, people used to hang on everything Kevin Samuels says. Kevin Samuels is gone now. There's people that have come and taken his place. Now we've got, Andrew Tate. He speaks like a 13-year-old, but, you know. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Anyway, what have I seen? So, this one is messy. So, Keke Palmer and Usher, you know about it?
Yeah, my sister told me about this just today. Carry on, please do tell.
Yeah, so you know Usher's been doing his thing in where is he doing it? Is he in Vegas?
I think it's in Vegas.
It's in Vegas.
Yeah, I think it's in Vegas, but I didn't catch him when I was there.
He's got his residency in Vegas. Usher, please come to the UK. Anyway, and he does this bit where he like pulls a female artist normally and does a little like dance with them, like a little flirtatious. I mean, it's Usher, right? Keke Palmer went to a show dressed in a Cher little number, a bit like Cher, like how my top is Cher, but it was Cher all the way to the bottom. So, and then her cheeks were out, basically. Just giving context for those that might not know, in case you've been living under a rock. And her baby daddy, because that's what he is, took to Twitter, or is it Instagram? Somewhere in the socials, right? And somewhere in the socials, and he basically was like, "You're a mother. Why are you just like that? Like, why are you moving like that? You're a mum." Yeah. And this sparked big discourse, especially on Twitter, and a few podcasts covered it. Again, this happened where we want to break, where people spoke about, essentially the consensus was he's insecure. So half of the people talking about it were saying he's insecure and it's disgusting behaviour for him to take to social media to air out his concerns. Why couldn't he just talk to her directly? I mean, she is the mother of his child. The other half of the discourse, in terms of the argument, were saying, well, he's right. It's a bit mad that a mother of a child and his babes is like dancing inappropriately and dressed inappropriately to go to the show and you can probably guess what side was saying, what gender was saying what on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that died down. We didn't think to talk about it. I didn't think to talk about it anyway because it happened during the break. A lot of discourse had happened. I didn't want to get into that conversation because we've spoken about like how women dress and all that before, blah, blah, blah. So
with the Ciara thing.
Yeah, like it's played out. Anyway, Usher's released a new song.
Mm-hmm.
Called Boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who the video vixen is in the video?
Minua.
Keke Palmer.
Minua.
Now she was silent on this. On this. Usher dropped a little snippet and was like, even he's dropped it on Twitter, and even the way he dropped it, he was like, said something along the lines of you basically referenced the boyfriend, like don't let your man see, something along the lines of watch when your man see, something like that. I forget the exact wording, but when I find it, I might pop it on the screen or something. And everyone's just been like, this is messy, like this is messy. And even in the video, because I've seen it now, there's
the whole video or the snippet?
There's a snippet I saw where Keke was on the phone and she's basically telling her friends, like, why didn't you tell me you lot were going out tonight type thing? And then she goes, anyway, I am a mother after all. And then she looks dead into the camera. So she breaks the third wall. So it's like, these lot. So
this is where my conspiracy theory hat, like, it pings my radar immediately because I go backwards and I'm like, wait a minute. Was this the plan the whole time? You know them ones? I don't know. It depends how vindictive, like, Keke Palmer is. Like, is she really about to do, so you want to talk about me online and do a rebuttal? Or was it like, let's make a little controversy. Let's create a little drama here, guys. Let's do a little something.
I don't know if it was that planned out. I don't know if they foresaw that people will have discourse around what the boyfriend had said. Do you know what I mean? Like, in order for them to have planned it that far, it would mean that they got their ex, the baby daddy, involved, told him that this is what he kind of think he needs to say, or he needs to get upset about this. And then let's see what I don't think they would have foreseen that it would have turned into discourse like that. In order for them
I think it's easier than you think, you know?
You think so?
Because remember, like, with social media, everyone looks to the same places. Like, us being from the UK, we're like, cool, like English speaking thing. We're black, so we're like, cool, Shade Borough and Shade Room. And then there's others that branch off, and it starts to get different, innit? But Shade Borough is like the center almost.
Yeah.
Most black people, I'd assume, would be following Hackney's Finest, Shade Borough, Shade Room. Even Hackney's Finest is not as big as it once was. So essentially, if you're thinking from a strategic marketing point of view, and you're like, right, we want to generate interest about this new song, like Usher's old catalog. It claps. No one can fault it. But we need some real penetration on something new. Yeah. How are we gonna do this? And then obviously you got loads of people sitting around cooking up all the ideas in the world. Keke might be like, yeah, I'm fair game for a little bit of, you know what, and that. Me and my man's relationship is solid. This is me assuming, yeah. We're solid. We can handle, people chatting rubbish. Like, we're good. So we'll get him to say this. Because it's not like he's gone on podcasts and shown his face and, what I mean? It's very under wraps. He had that post and then the conversation was taken away from him. Really, how that thing went viral, you can pay those central hubs to promote this story. And you can also be like, Lizzo, so-and-so, can you just comment on this or share it to or it's like true. It, or you know what I mean? And then it's like everyone already knows.
You're right. You make a good point.
So I don't think it's hard. I'm not saying it's not real. I just don't think it's hard to make.
You make a good point.
This narrative happen.
You make a good point. And obviously, do you know what? I'm hearing that, yeah, and it just screams something bigger to me. It screams how... I'm always forgetting words.
But what's the essence, as in?
I got the word. The black community is so predictable.
Yeah.
Online. If it was planned, it means that they could predict that people would have discourse around how women dress in relationships, because all they talk about
100%.
is
100%.
relationships, like stupid conversations.
And they had the case study of Ciara literally months before, so you could literally just be like, blow for blow, this is how it went.
Usher doesn't need this sort of publicity though. It's Usher. Any song he brings out, people are going to take the time to listen to it.
But he's doing a residency in Vegas, and I don't know how long those residencies last. They're
contracted for a time. They're contracted. I think it varies on artists and stuff.
You do kind of need to guarantee that you're selling out for the whole time, innit? You know what I mean? They don't want empty seats. And
Usher's discography.
Yeah, you was there.
Usher's discography. Damn, what I'm drinking is
it's timeless. It's timeless.
But yeah, Usher's discography is enough for him to sell out.
Yeah, it's enough for him to sell out
repeatedly.
Yeah, but you got to remember that it's not just how many people rush to go there immediately to see him immediately versus, like, that's why, let's say, for example, Keke Palmer was there in the beginning. I can't remember what other stars he's shown, but like just this, no, that was Drake's concert. That wasn't thingy. But Kim was there like not too long after Keke Palmer, if not the same night. But it's like you have the celebrities come through slowly as well. That's scheduled to keep you on the radar of different groups of society throughout your residency.
Yeah.
But then obviously having a new song drop and controversy during your residency also brings a brand new influx. People can come back. You know what I mean? It's like, because I reckon you can buy a ticket online. So if I'm a promoter and I'm seeing that there's towards the back end, there's still available, I'm like, nah, even though I know he'll do it, I need it done. You know what I mean?
I hear it. I don't think it was for Usher. I think it's more for Keke.
What, the song or
if what you're saying is true, this is all speculation, but if it was true, I think it brings Keke into conversation way more than it does Usher.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Because Usher's relevant. Like, he's relevant, and he will be relevant regardless. I think it's more Keke. And it puts her in the spotlight and it makes her relevant for now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously she did take a little break. I don't know where that would fall in the timeline, because obviously making films is like when they're made and when they come out, it's so far in between. You know what I mean? But maybe she's got like some big things on the way. You know what I mean? Maybe she's got big things on the way.
I think so. I think it was a smart move though, to be fair. Whether it was
for sure.
Pre-planned or not, I think it was a really smart move. Would you let Bey wear the dress that Keke wore? And how would you feel?
I'm still in between with all of that. From Ciara time, I'm still in between with all of that.
No, but Ciara's dress is different. Ciara's dress was a lot. Keke's dress, it was like a long sleeve black maxi dress type thing. The only difference is the bottom part was sheer, so the underwear that she was, you could see her cheeks. That's all. It's not like Ciara was different. Like, you saw TE, you saw bum, you saw leg. Like, Ciara's one was way more extreme.
The way it's stored in my mind, they're the same.
You think so? No, I think
Ciara's in my mind, as in my mind, mind, not literally.
Ciara's dress was way more exposing,
revealing.
Yeah, than Keke's dress.
Cool. I don't know.
And listeners might not know, but Venom's wife is into fashion. Okay, she's very fashionable. She's model, fashion, everything. So she might not wear a black number like that, because I know Bey likes to wear color, but she likes to wear things that are out of the box. And I think what Keke wore, I'm not talking about Ciara. Ciara's one was, there's no way. I can't imagine Bey even like wanting to.
Yeah, she's not into like that kind of,
But something that Keke wore, maybe if it was like a pink and orange number or something like that, I don't know, with a bit of sequin, and I can just like, I just maybe not a thong underneath, maybe more of a French brief. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think.
I don't know, man.
How would you feel?
My issue is
not saying that she
more
would
so
wear.
around...
Not saying that she would wear it and that she's
yeah.
into wearing revealing clothes. Not saying that at all. I'm just saying that she's into she's into fashion. Like she's, you know what I mean. So like, imagine if she was like she wanted to play around with like mesh and stuff like that, and it was something towards that ilk, that line. How would you feel? Would you be okay with that? I mean, not that you can give permission or not. She's her own person, but do you know what I mean? After you've had a kid,
it just does a lot. I don't think I'm on it personally.
That's fair.
I think I'm in line with Keke's boyfriend mindset.
Cool. Okay,
but it's not about shouting at people online when you know them in real life.
If exactly, that was my thing about it. I was just like, I get where he's coming from. To be fair, I do. I mean,
maybe he feels like he's being made to look like a fool. I'm not
gonna lie. I do believe that when a woman hits a certain stage in life, she needs to reevaluate her wardrobe. And I know it might sound like I'm pandering to misogyny, but I do think that when you become a mum, and when you become a mum and a wife,
I don't think it's just a mum. I think it's if you're in a serious relationship with someone.
It's
then
not
you need
for
to,
me.
You need to pay attention to the part of the relationship.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's got nothing to do with the partner. It's got nothing to do with the partner. To me, it's about. To me, it's about the stage you're at in life as a woman. I think when you're younger, you want to have a lot of attention on you. You want to be daring. You want to be experimentative. You want to, and then I think you get to a certain stage in life as a woman where you're like, I actually need to dress my age. And
what does that mean, though?
And I know, so
it sounds. Mean that it's acceptable for young women to dress like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you're young and everything is still perky and you're not established and you're still in that experimentative, playing around, messing about, you're not really perceived as serious anyway stage, then by all means you can dress however way you want to dress, because at the end of the day when you're older it will just be attributed to but it will just be seen as that was when they were young. But as you become a mature, established like woman, I think you can still dress sexy, but you need to scale down the amount of skin that you're showing and the way in which you're being sexy. Now it can be suggestive sexy, not I'm actually naked. And I also think when you have a child as well, for me, it's about respectability. It's not about the man. It's about respectability.
I feel like I'm seeing it the complete opposite way around to you.
Because do you know why I'm saying this? Because I'm getting to a stage in life now as a woman where I'm starting to reevaluate my wardrobe, and I'm asking myself, the way I'm dressing, does this reflect my age? Does this reflect my maturity? Does this reflect the type of respect that I want at this age, at this maturity? Yes or no? And if the answer to that is no, then it goes. And to be honest, a lot of the clothes that I've had to go are the stuff where boobs are out, bum is out, legs are out, everything's out. Do you know what I mean? Because and I'm trying to be more refined, because I feel like as you age, you want to be more refined. You don't want to be dressing like a hoe for all of your life. It starts to look like it starts to look like mutton dressed as lamb, and that's more the line I'm going down. As opposed to my partner. But don't get me wrong, as I'm saying that, if I'm in a relationship with someone and my man is not the kind of person that is comfortable with me looking too attractive around other people, first I'll challenge him, because I'll be like, babe, you should trust me enough to know that no matter how I dress, even if other people are looking at me, I'm with you, babes. But I wouldn't want to make him uncomfortable on purpose, so I'll bear that in mind with what I'm wearing, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. I reckon, I believe that of you. I think my concern is more with the point that you just made, but it was always a theme that I was feeling, which was, you said something about you don't want to go through your whole life like dressed as a hoe.
I don't want to do that.
But I kind of feel like that's what it is it's not dressing super attractively. It's more so along the line. People's issue and my personal issue is more like, no, I kind of see this as looking like a hoe. And I wouldn't encourage any younger person just because they're young. Oh no, yeah, dress like a hoe, and then make sure
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying dress like a hoe. I'm just saying that it's more acceptable for a younger woman to dress in that way. It's more acceptable for a younger woman to show more skin, to be more brazen with the outfit choices.
But I feel like that's a cultural thing that should change.
As she gets older, I think dressing refined and respectable is actually directly linked to more womanly. A woman dresses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. No, I agree.
Whereas,
but I feel like
younger people, you can be refined if you want to be. No one's gonna say that you don't look good if you're not. But it's more acceptable for younger women to dress in that way.
Yeah, but I think that is.
And you're saying
the allowed culture, but I think that
you're saying that should be challenged
to be women from, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why.
I think the where we have a difference is, I see it as, if you dress that way as a young woman, I see it as you're just being experimentative, you're just, being bold and wild and going through a phase and whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're being a hoe. It just means that you're
yeah, but you're almost practicing hoism.
No, you're not practicing.
If you want to differentiate,
No, you're not. Practicing hoism is actually being a hoe. Like, actually
being a hoe is multifaceted.
It is, but the way you dress is not what defines you as a hoe.
Kind of can be.
It doesn't.
It can be.
That's where I would say misogyny comes in. Like, the way you dress doesn't define you as a hoe. It's your behavior that defines you as a hoe, not how you present.
But I think your behavior is choosing how you look. Like, it's very much a choice.
No, because you make by that
how you present yourself to the world.
By that logic, choosing to wear rainbow socks makes you gay.
Yeah, right. If you understand that.
Nah, it doesn't. It's a perception, and it's a perception. I can give you that. It's a perception.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I understand that you can challenge a perception.
It's not fact. Just because I dress a certain type of way doesn't make me a hoe. Just because I decide to wear rainbow clothes doesn't mean I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community.
Agreed.
It's a perception, but it's not a fact.
Looking back at myself, I said, no, actually, wearing them rainbow socks, that's fruity as hell.
No. You could see why people would assume you were gay based on what you're wearing. Yeah. It's still an assumption. It's not a fact about you.
No, I know, and practicing it though.
And case in point, the fact that you were wearing the socks in of itself, being a straight guy, is proof of what I'm saying. You can dress any way you want to. Doesn't mean that you are what you are dressed as. And remember, I have said before that if you want to be perceived a certain way, then you want to present that way. Fine, but that doesn't mean that you are defined solely by what you wear. It's a very complex.
You're not.
Yeah, so you can dress a certain type of way. That doesn't mean that you are the thing that people perceive you to be because you dress that way. When you think about it deeply,
again.
Yeah.
Again, but that's a two-layered thing.
Yeah.
So there's self-perception and then there's outward perception.
There's outward perception.
Who makes judgment of you.
It's a three-layered thing.
Venom
is three-layered. Yeah, people can judge me. I can wear whiteface and people can judge me as a white woman, but I know that I'm actually black. Do you understand me? So there's my perception, there's your perception, and there's the truth, the fact. Yeah. So you can dress a certain type of way and be perceived as a hoe, but you're not a hoe though. You're actually someone that's got zero to like low numbers. You are in a committed relationship. You don't mess about with other guys. You don't cheat. You don't do nothing wayward and wild. So you're not in that category. You just like to wear clothes that is sexy and revealing, but you're not a hoe. Do you get it? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I feel like it's more acceptable for young women to be experimentative and to enjoy your youth, enjoy gravity working to your benefit, enjoy the fact that your boobs don't sag down to your thigh and you have no cellulite and everything's perky and smooth and bouncy and everything's bounce back. Enjoy it. But as you get older, you kind of have to shift your perspective on what sexy is, I think. And you kind of need to refine, because as you get older as a woman, you're not looking for attention like that anymore. Like you've become who you are. You're not following fashion. You're more like, okay, I like this on my body. I like that on my body. I know that I can attract the opposite sex without what I wear. It doesn't, I don't have to have my ass out in order for a guy to like me or to notice me. There's other ways that I can get his attention. I think people that dress like that, they're looking for attention. And I think that's normal for younger women to do that because they don't know how to navigate in that space or how to gain attention without actually bodaciously being like,
I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I agree.
Get it? But as you get older, you don't need to do all of that in order for you to get
but if you're truly dressing for you, then you might, then arguably an older woman would be less of the hoe dressed like a hoe because
exactly.
She 100%, that's what I'm saying, should be less of a hoe. So I'm saying that if an older woman dressed that way and she's showing off, she's the person who's more mentally established, knows that, I'm literally just doing this for me. I enjoy the way this fabric
if you're an older
sits
woman,
on my skin,
if you're an older,
I want to show off my flesh. I don't need nobody.
She's not her at all. But I still think the same. I still think the same of a young person. I think the age doesn't determine whether or not you're a hoe or not.
No, so but you were saying that you think as you get older, you should more address your age and
just more age.
That's why I'm saying I feel like the argument works the opposite way round, or maybe,
I don't agree.
Maybe not the argument, but the point I'm making is that someone who has lived longer, lived through it, and has no reservations with their own body, regardless what gravity is doing, I would feel they are being less of a hoe dressing in that way because they, to me, have a better understanding of why they are clothing themselves and what choices they're making.
I see why you're saying that, but I think that a woman deciding to dress more revealingly doesn't make her a hoe, irrespective of whether she is 18, 21, 23, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50, 60. That's not what makes you a hoe. It's your behavior and how you respect yourself in a sexual manner that determines whether you're a hoe or not, and what you're willing to do and not do, and your morals and your values. Some people might count how you dress as part of your morals and values. I personally don't. Which you can probably tell because I've worn some risque things in my time, and I'm not a hoe, and no one can tell me I'm a hoe because I don't act like one. So even if I'm dressed a certain way, when people see how I move and my behavior and how I carry myself in that same item of clothing, they're like, she ain't a hoe. You could tell she ain't a hoe. Irrespective of what I'm wearing. Which is why I don't believe that. But I can see why some people do. But anyway, I think that as a woman gets older, especially when you have children, you need to start thinking about, okay, I can still be sexy, but how do I want to do that sexiness? Like, I don't particularly want to be showing off too much skin. I don't have to. And you can show some, but not everything. You'd have to bear everything. Do you know what I mean? That's just my personal thing. And maybe in a few years' time, someone will educate me a bit better about all of this and my perception might change. But for now, that's where I sit on that.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think differently.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's the nature of what we do, right?
Yeah.
Oh dear, interesting. Well, okay, well, quickly, yeah. If Bey went to a concert and the artist was flirting, being sexual with her on stage, would you be upset? Would you be upset with that?
Yeah, of course. I wouldn't want my partner to be sexual with anybody else under any circumstance.
But would that be her? Would that be something you addressed with her though?
Yeah, if she was, I don't know, on stage doing performance, I'd be like.
Do you mean if she was pandering to it and like getting involved and seemed to be enjoying it and egging it on,
like a Chris Brown scenario, like on stage, maybe sat in the chair.
But she's just sat in the chair. She's not doing anything. She's sat in the chair. Everything's happening to her. It's happening to her. So would you still be upset with her about it?
I wouldn't want to see it. I wouldn't pay to see it. I wouldn't want to see it.
Of course not. But would you be upset with her? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I'd be like, babes, why did you
go on stage?
Oblige. Yeah, why did you oblige?
Interesting. That's interesting. If my man was into Janet Jackson, because Janet she's a top contender for this, and she called my man on stage and he just sat there while she gyrated on him, we'd have a laugh about it. I wouldn't be upset with him about it. I get why you went on stage. You like the artist, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think for me, if it was more of after the after party or something, they invited you backstage and somehow you was in her dressing room by yourself, then I have questions. But you just being called on stage and she gyrated on you, that's not enough for me to be like, we have to have a conversation about this. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I'm not on it. The reason why, I'm trying to think of the flip side, like, would I do it? But realistically, no, I wouldn't. I tell you who I really, really like is my childhood kind of crush, is Khalees. That's my oh my God.
And
when she come on the scene, I was like, yo, who the hell is this? Even though she was screaming about how she hated a man, I was like, this woman is incredibly beautiful.
Fair.
I've been to see her in concert maybe twice or something, but I would go to see her like anytime she performed. However, if she said, yeah, you, boom, get on the stage, like, I'll be like, yo, I can't do that. Because I know, like, I just don't think it's right.
Is it because you know that you are somewhat sexually attracted to Khalees, and if you could, you would? So you're projecting your feelings for Khalees and how attracted you are to her on your partner and their potential feeling for the artist. Yeah, that's where I'm different.
Yeah, that's
I'm not gonna project my feeling of
no, but it's not just that. It's also the display of what everyone else witnesses.
They can see what they can see,
with
but
someone I'm not in a relationship with.
I'm the one that, like, that's a one night 5 minute, it's a 30-second gig.
Most times when
I'm
people
married
cheat,
to you. I have the ring.
That's what it is.
I mean, yeah, more time, cool.
A one night 30
that's
second,
fine.
It's over.
Yeah, cool. But this is on stage. I just don't.
So that wasn't even in private. No one even saw it.
I don't take it seriously. It's just a performance.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
especially
is,
like, when you look at like Chris Brown,
categorize it in that way,
it's just a performance. It happens every night. Usher's been at Vegas for how long? He's done it to pretty much. He's done it to bare people. What makes your partner special?
That they're my partner.
Yeah, they're special to you. That doesn't mean they're special to that person. Doesn't mean they're special to that person. So it means nothing.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with
that
that person.
Performance.
It's about me.
A performance. It's just a performance. That's how
I'm
not trying to change your mind.
No. I know.
I'm just explaining to you. To me, I would be like,
I'm taking your argument. I'm seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, I've got the ring. He's coming home with me tonight. We're gonna do the boom 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 tonight. He's not doing the boom 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 with her. Do you get it?
I see it like that.
You do your 30 seconds of gyrate. That's okay. I'm gonna do more than gyrate for him when I get home. How about that? Cool.
I think that the sacredness of people's union has become fodder in secular society.
This is another conversation for another day.
They can just do anyhow with someone's partner because they don't really mean it, and that makes it fine. But to me, I'm like, nah, like, if that's really your somebody, nobody should be like, even if I'm arguing with Bae, and then someone comes and actually disrespects her, it's so on top for them, it's unreal. Not because, you know what I mean, my anger towards her because we're beefing has nothing over, that's actually my person though. So you can't do anything to
I
that
hear
person.
I hear it. I think for me, and it's an interesting conversation, but my perception of relationship has completely changed off the back of what I've been through. I think a lot of people misconstrue relationship for ownership. Just because I'm with you and we're committed to each other doesn't mean that you own me, and it doesn't mean that I own you. I see it as I experience you and you experience me, but I don't own you. I don't have ownership of your body. I don't have ownership of your mind. And whilst there's an obligation for us to be loyal to each other and for us to respect each other, which I absolutely agree with, however, I don't have ownership over you. Therefore, if you're in that predicament, I can't be upset that the person that I'm with was included in an experience that they didn't particularly go out for or ask for, if that makes sense. And that also means that I can't turn around and tell them, if you were called on stage, don't go. If they go, they go. So long as they respect me in that they're not going backstage with so-and-so, they're not cheating with them, fine. It's all for entertainment. It's okay. But I don't know. That's just me. I just don't see it as an ownership thing. I mean, it's so funny. When I went to the Chris Brown concert, for example, my sister was like, if Chris Brown called you on stage, would you go? I was more thinking, I didn't come here for a sweaty man to be all up in my face. I don't know if he's brushed his teeth. I don't know if his breath is hot. All of that stuff. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I'd rather just be in the audience. Like it's I've already gone out of my way to come to this concert that I'm only here for you for. So he better not call me on stage because I'll just respectfully decline. Like I don't love Chris Brown that much. And even if it was Drake, I wouldn't go on stage because I just don't. For me, I don't like that sort of attention. As much as I'm a big personality and I like to be seen in the room. In that sort of scenario, I wouldn't want to be. And I'm single. So if I had a man, I probably wouldn't go on, but I wouldn't be impressed if he was annoyed at me if I had chosen to. Because you don't own me, babes. I'm your babes, and you need to trust that I'm loyal to you, irrespective of what scenario I'm put in. I'll always choose you. And I feel like if you are secure in that, then you wouldn't really be that fussed about the fact that an artist who I'm never going to see again, who doesn't even remember who I am because they've done how many shows now in how many different places and called how many different women, called me on stage and I went.
Yeah, I think it's more that. I think it diminishes
I think with the
value of it.
I think with the Keke thing, the thing that I felt like Keke, I wouldn't do that, is I think she sat on his lap and stuff like that, and that's where it's like, okay, you're now playing into like the Chris Brown thing's different.
But she's an actress. It's weird.
You know what I mean? Like he sits you on a chair and he does his business around you. Cool. So it's happening to you. But in the Keke thing, she actually played into it. Like she reciprocated the energy that was given to her. That's where I'd be like, why are you reciprocating though, babes? Like I saw you put your hand on Janet's.
Yeah, the Keke one's weird because it really doesn't look sexual. It looks like they're just playing. It's a performance. So, I hear that. I don't think that was his issue. I think his issue was just that his baby mama was just the spotlight, you know what I mean, of attention in more ways than one. Because people were looking at her with Usher, but I don't think everyone was like, oh, what's going on with them two? Because it was very friendly.
I think it was
it's just
very friendly.
Her cheeks.
Yeah, her cheeks were out.
And she announced the baby, only a little while before that. So
no, months before that. Come on, let's not add spice where spice doesn't need to be added. It was months before that. That child is almost 1 at this point.
Oh, really?
Well, at this point, not at that point. But interesting conversation. Interesting conversation. New starters. New listeners.
You've been doing too many inductions or something.
I'm telling you, honestly. New listeners and our veterans, we are changing things up a little bit. And going forward, we're going to have a topic of the week that we unpick. And this week, we are unpicking single-parenthood. I don't know where this conversation is going to go, but we're here now. You know, a while ago, we spoke about dating a single parent.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh.
And I said I couldn't date a single dad, a single baby dad, a guy that's got a kid. Yeah. And I said, even if he's involved in the child's life, I couldn't date them because I like to be center of attention. I'm selfish. I've done some growing since that episode. That's about a year ago.
Okay.
And I don't think I'm selfish anymore in that respect.
So you think you're open to dating a guy who has a child already?
I think I could do it. I don't know about the language of open to. I think I could do it. The reason why I could do it, specifically with a man who is there for his child, is because I like my single life. And he'll have less time for me. And I kind of like the idea of that. The whole,
wow.
I get to kind of still live out my independence. I hate that word, but it is what it is. I get to live out my single life. And then it's like he builds me in, which means I get space, and he's got his thing and I get my space. Yeah,
but you could just set boundaries to have like that, whatever the level of space that you would like.
I can do that with someone that doesn't have a child. Yeah, I know, but it will happen naturally with someone that has a child. Because remember, the only reason why I said I wouldn't before is because I said he wouldn't have time for me. Remember, I said I'm selfish.
And now you're like, I want my time.
I don't mind the time now. Also, it would take the pressure off me having a baby.
Yeah, to a degree. But then if you want kids of your own, it wouldn't change.
Yeah, I don't know about that just yet. So it would take the pressure off of that in terms of like, do it now, let's do it now type thing. But essentially, I mean, there's nothing wrong with men that have kids. My issue was not that they have a kid. My issue was they weren't. I wouldn't be their everything because they've got a child that I expect to be number one.
I don't know why people would think. I mean, I think the love that you have for a child and the love that you have for a woman are completely.
It's not
different.
about the love for, it's about the time. So, you know, a man that hasn't got a child, he's got more time to play with and he's got more finances to play with. A man that has a child, especially if they're in their child's life, he has to be intentional with you because he has to put his child first. Like, he actually has to be there for his kid on weekends or whenever he's got the kid, which means he hasn't got time for you in that time. Unless you become serious and you're now involved in the child's life. But up until that point, I think guys, this is not a place of knowing. This is just an assumption at this point. But I think guys would probably want to have you interact with the child earlier rather than later, if they're serious. I don't know.
Sorry, not if they're serious. If they're looking at you as a serious,
as an actual
like,
person. Yeah. Well, that's if baby mama permits.
Yeah, because I think I think the main thing he'll want to be is like, how's she with kids? Because there ain't nothing worse in your mind than your child and your new person not getting along.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
There being an emotional conflict there. Like, that's
do you think
not a
it's
place you want to be in.
Do you think it's harder for men to date baby mums than it is for women to date baby dads? And why?
So when you say date, you mean like a serious relationship, right?
Yeah, dating.
Do I think it's harder? No, I kind of think it's the same, but I think that the ways in which so the third wheel, right? There's always going to be a third wheel. I think the ways in which
not referring to the kid as a third wheel.
No, not the child. I'm talking about the parent,
the other parent.
Yeah.
Okay, the co-parent.
Yeah. I'm talking about the other parent, not the child. Yeah, the child is a child. Children just be children. It doesn't really matter whose child it is. Children are just children. They're wild. But the other parent, that's the issue. And I think the ways in which women play an issue from that point and the ways in which men play an issue from that point, very different. So if that person is choosing to be difficult, then I think it is, I don't know. I think more women would, or rather women would be difficult in a more manageable way where they won't be too forceful, but they'll create passa in the relationship or strains. Whereas I think men who have no intention of their baby mum dating someone else or want to create problems, they'll create problems to the point where you kind of have to break up.
I think
does that make sense?
I think man or woman, if the co-parent has any feelings or is harboring any feelings, whether that is love or hate towards the co-parent you're dating, I think they can cause your relationship to end and cause passa.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah.
Irrespective. I think the difficulty with men dating baby mum is the whole idea of the man stepping in and being the father for the child. And there is this idea, and I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with it, but there's this idea that they're gonna have to now provide for the child financially, emotionally, and all that, where the dad isn't. And I'm talking about a scenario. In my mind, I've got a scenario where the dad is a deadbeat, for example, and then a man has come in to date the woman, and she's now stepping in his place. And there's this idea that men don't want to do that. They don't want to invest in a child that's not their own. So I can imagine that with a lot of men that have that mindset of, if it's not mine, I don't want to invest in that, in the upbringing of that child, especially financially, then I can imagine it being, I'm presuming, not that I imagine it, I'm presuming that the outcome of that would be that it's more difficult for women who have a baby or a child to find a man that would be willing to come in. I think it's a different conversation if the dad is present and the dad is co-parenting with her, whether that is in an effective way or not. I think if in those situations it might be slightly different. The man might not feel a way to come in because he knows that 100% of that burden in terms of financial support and everything for the woman and the child is not on him. But if it's a deadbeat dad, the dad's not around, there's problems with the dad doesn't do anything, then yeah, I think that is the scenario where a man might be like, potentially, I don't know if I really want to get involved, because unless he's in a place where, and I don't know this for sure, I don't have a child, I don't have a deadbeat baby dad, so I can't speak on this in absolutes. I'm just speaking on like what logically could potentially be
what you
issue.
feel like would be the
but like, especially because I date African men, innit? Like I date African men, and African men have this I must provide type thing, but they're very proud as well. Like I'll provide for mine, and that's it. I'm not trying to do you know what I mean?
I'm not trying to save the world, yeah.
No,
the
so if it's not my,
the funny thing for me is what I have not experienced, what I'm aware. So I've dated 3 ladies, 3 baby moms, and none of them asked me to provide for the child because all 3 of them, the dad was present in the child's life. So I'm guessing they were supported financially in that aspect. So I've never had the other option. But I have a friend who has had the opposite experience, as in it's a woman who's dating a man, and the man has kids. And in that instance, financial assistance is being asked of her.
Interesting.
And that is that's what I'm like, how do women feel about?
Oh, let me think about this. Let me think about this. So the mum's not around.
No, the mum's around. It's more so just being.
So why is he asking me what he can't support on his own?
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's like, so if I was with a woman in a serious relationship, the father being around or not, if the kids are with me and her, then basically, because I'm serious about her, they're also my kids now, as well as any kids that we have together, if you understand what I mean. So from that perspective, even though I've never been in that scenario, if I were to be in that scenario, I would be like, cool, like, we're going fun fair, cool, like, I'm paying for the kids to go fun fair. It's not, I'm paying for my kids to go fun fair, and then could you please pay for your 2 kids or whatever so that I could take them to the fun fair. So I'm just saying, on the flip side of that, how does that work basically for you, being a single woman with no kids?
It depends on how I feel about the guy and the seriousness of our relationship. Like, are we intending to be committed to each other fully, or are we just doing let's see how this goes, like this is a for now thing, there's no speak of our future and a potential, are we having our own little family with a child included? That's what's going to determine it for me.
Do you have to have a child? Do you have to have intention to have a child?
No, it's not the intention. It's not the intention to have a child. It's the intention for us to build our future together. Like, do we have do we have a future in mind, or is this just a for now thing? If we've got a future in mind, then yeah, I will support you because it's in my best interest. What is yours is now mine, and we both have to support each other with whatever for the benefit of our future together. But if there is no future, there, or we've not considered a future to be there, or I can't see a future with him, and there is that assurance that we're planning or we're working towards longevity and a future, then my purse strings are tightly shut. That's not my problem. In fact, I don't even advise that I'm in any way, shape or form involved with your child at all, that your child even knows who I am. I should be so far removed because I don't intend to stay here. This is a for now thing.
Yeah, but that's obviously if it's a for now thing. But if you're in a relationship,
if we're in a relationship, can be a for now thing.
Okay.
Not everyone is geared towards relationship means we're gonna get married, or relationship means we're gonna cohabitate and be together forever.
Okay.
That's what answers that for me. I fully understand that I don't think like the majority of people nowadays on social media. I can imagine if that question was put out on Twitter, a lot of women would be saying, "You crazy?"
Yeah, hell no. I'd be like, but I thought we were equal.
Because the way I see it, it's kind of like me saying, "Okay, babes, I'm working now, but I want to throw my job in and I want to study. Are you going to support me financially?" I would imagine he would be asking himself, that's an investment that I'm putting in. Am I going to get my return? Does it make sense for me to invest this much in this person right now? Do I see myself with them? If the answer to that is no, then I can't give you nothing. I'm sorry, I can't help you. That's on you. If it's a responsible person will think about that, if you think ahead before they make such a decision. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you think that, we like, for as long as I can remember, even like when I was a child, there was, when they talk about statistics around single parenthood, the rhetoric, the message we always get is that it's on the rise. A lot of people not coming from 2-parent homes anymore. And then when I think about more recently, like my dating life, not that there is much of one, but a lot of the guys that do move to me, they've got a kid. They had a kid in their early 20s. They had a slip up, or it was an ex-girlfriend, or it was a one-night stand or something. They've got a kid, yeah? What do you think in a society... let me go back. In a society where it's more common now, what do you think the impacts of that has been, if there has been one?
We haven't studied it, but from based on me growing up versus now, I don't really think there has been much of a change. I kind of feel like it's the same situation in a brand new world, if you know what I mean. Yeah, the world looks different. How things work has changed maybe a little bit, but I just think it's a new cover on the same phone. Like, if you know what I mean. I remember there being young mums when I was a kid, seeing the young mums and seeing how they were, engaging with one another in society and whatnot. And now that I'm the adult, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm just understanding it better because I'm able to see what's led to those scenarios. But I still see the same scenarios. So I wouldn't say that I think there's more single parents.
No, I'm not saying that there's more. I'm just saying...
Well, yeah.
I'm asking if we think there's an impact. Your answer to that is no, and that's fine.
I don't think there's an impact. I think it's the same society we're living in.
I think teenage pregnancy, like young teenage pregnancy, single parenthood, is different. It's a different beast entirely. It's a whole new path that we can take. I do think, though, that single parenthood as a whole... whether that is you're a single parent off the back of divorce, or you're a single parent off the back of your partner passing, or you're a single parent from a one-night stand or a failed relationship, whatever it might be, I think that, by the exception of partner passing, I think it's impacted how people view love and relationship. It's part of the picture. Like we talk about social media has impacted... celebs are celeb visibility and us being able to see their lives and we've spoken about, like, even down to the kind of things people talk about in the media space and stuff like that has impacted. But I think another notch on that bedpost, so to speak, is single parenthood. I think it's kind of, from a primary socialization perspective, it's shaped how some people view relationship, and it can go one of two ways. Either people are striving for, I came from that, I don't want to pass that on, or it could be actually, what's love? Like, nothing lasts forever anyway, it's cool. That type of two extremes. I think it's impacted how people see relationship and family and what family means. And of course, what family means, again, that's another beast. There's other things that impact that, like, for example, sexuality and people's openness to sexuality and all sorts of things. But I think, just sticking to the topic for this week, I do think that single parenthood has impacted how a lot of people view relationship and view the family dynamic and what family means and what that looks like. And I'm not saying
different to before.
Yeah, like away from nuclear. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing per se. I'm just saying that it's a result of that.
Yeah, single parenthood. Yeah, but I think I feel like that's I don't think that that's something new. I think
I'm not saying it's new.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Cool.
Yeah, because
so
even
that's
like
just a result.
Yeah. Because and I would also say that in a way it's impacted how some people view themselves, how some people see the world and the society that they live in outside of family and relationship. Because I genuinely believe that children need a male figure and a female figure in their life in order for them to have some sort of balance. And some people get that, like, even though they come from just like, maybe my dad raised me, but they might have had an auntie or a family friend that was the mother figure for them, or grandparent. And then, or you might get a guy who has an uncle, or, do you know what I mean? Yeah, or granddad or something that was the male figure for them. But that's not always the case for everyone. And you know,
I think male figures in the periphery of single mothers are also less involved than female figures on the periphery of
and it's because, I mean, the nurturing thing, it goes back down to the fact that women are more nurturers of their community anyway, which is something you was arguing with me about the other day, but I stand 10 toes down on it. Women are more nurturing, so, and we're more nurturing to our wider community, not just ourselves and our immediate. So whereas men are not really like that, they're not really made to be like that, they're not socialized that way, so that could have something to do with that as well. But I think I think the impact is bigger than what some of us would like to admit, and for this I actually do think it's more negative than positive, because
I don't think there's any pros to single parenthood. Yeah, at all.
Especially especially if you're in a situation where the parent that you didn't have, or the parent you had was like extremely the primary caregiver, to the point where the other parent was not there. So like the typical example is a guy that grew up with his single mom being the only one that cared about him, and his dad just wasn't about. And the impact of that on him as he grows up, and, you know, how that alters the relationship between him and his between him and his mom, how he sees women, how he deals with women and stuff like that. I spoke a little bit about this in the past, like from experience, from dating someone from that sort of background. Because his mum put certain pressures on him in terms of like, she doesn't have a man in her life, so now he is the man of the house, and the pressure to be the man of the house.
Yeah.
And then there was a little bit of resentment there as well. So I feel like she kind of...
I've seen that play out.
I feel like she kind of put that on him. The resentment she had for the dad, she put that on him. and treated him a certain type of way because of her resentment for the dad. And that meant he grew up not seeing women in a positive light. And that affected him throughout. So the way he treats women in dating, the way he treats women at work, the way he views the world is all formulated off the back of this is how
from his relationship with his mother. I mean, that's everyone's relationships are very informed in that way. And I do think that's probably the worst case scenario, is having a single mother who needs support and her having a boy as opposed to a girl that she's raising by herself. Because I think just in terms of where we go when we grow up, boys are expected to become men. But I think women are, whilst the expectation is there that one day you become a woman, there's no rush to become a woman, because the things that come with being a woman are far more sacred than the things that come with being a man. The things that come with being a man are functional. So if you can hurry up and become a man, that's great, because I need help.
I think with women, there's no focus to become a woman because it just happens to you anyway. Like you get. But
also, everything that comes with that is very whereas sacred.
I think with becoming a man outside of puberty, like the actual behaviors of a man, I think that's something that you are taught and and you're kind of encouraged to become that figure. But I think for women, we aren't encouraged to become a woman because it happens to us. There's nothing we could do about it. It just happens. You know, having your first period, you're a woman now. Developing breasts, you're a woman now. Men sexualizing you, it's out of your control. There's nothing I can do that can speed it up or slow it down. It just happens to me. I think with men, it's more encouraged for you to become a man. For that, you know, it's slightly different. I think for women, we just
it's because it's functional. Because essentially, becoming a man outside of puberty, there is no physical thing. So everything else is function, being responsible, providing, supporting, defending, protecting. You know what I mean? Aid. All of this kind of stuff. These are all just concepts, but they're encouraged, because other than that, you're just going to get a beard, and your voice is going to break. Okay, whoop-de-doo, should we clap for you? So then they're like, okay, well, that's not tangible. So do this, do that. Have you, help with the shopping, blah, blah, blah. You making money, save money. Can you pay rent earlier? You know what I mean? Whereas none of that falls under being a woman in a household.
That's so funny, because becoming a man is just basically being responsible. That's what makes you a man. Whereas being a woman, you're kind of raised to be, like, you're kind of expected to be responsible from early. It's just part of being a woman, that you're responsible. So, because you're a girl, and you're taught that because you're a girl, we're already responsible people. We're already nurturers. We're already, we know how to take care of this. We know how to take care of that. We want to. You should want to. From when you're a little girl, like, you should want to play with dollies, so you know how to look after children. You should want to. Like, most of the toys that girls play with is all centered around it from early. Like, my earliest toys was literally a buggy with a baby, and then my other one was, I had like a fake kitchen.
Yeah, I remember that.
And stuff like that, and like.
But they don't really do that anymore. But when I was a kid,
they do.
All my girl cousins had. Do they?
They do. They still. It still exists.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, if you go to a children's toy shop, I've got a lot of nieces and nephews. Well, cousins.
So you still see it.
So I still
that's
like when
wild.
I go
when you think about it as an adult, that's wild.
Yeah,
that's
like
what
everything.
girls play with. You play with the kitchen.
Yeah, whereas boys, you're playing with Action Man. You're playing with
gun. Sword, truck.
So you're playing with actual things.
Spade.
You're playing with things for entertainment. Girls are playing with things.
No, and work as well.
Work and entertainment. Yeah. But it's entertainment. Dinosaurs. Anything
drill,
animal.
Fake drill. Yeah.
Anything animal related.
Sand.
Anything animal related tend to be boy toys. Do you know what I mean? Whereas with girls, it's kids, cleaning, cooking. That's what our toys are.
But on this toys topic
and fashion,
have you seen the Barbie movie?
Not yet.
Girl?
I've had mixed reviews, so I'm
Go
not
watch
sure.
this movie. Forget the reviews. Go watch this movie.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Cool.
Yeah, we must. Watch this movie, and then we'll do a spoiler episode where we talk about this film. It's a must.
All right, cool. So but anyway, we've completely gone off piece. I think that what you was trying to allude to was that the impact on a guy not having a father figure is somewhat greater than the impact on a woman. Is that where you were going with this? Like, it's somewhat more intense. Like the impact on a man. The point
I made.
Yeah, because you were saying that a man, because it's functional, becoming a man is functional. They're taught how to be a man, and so it's imperative that they have a male figure.
Sorry,
blah,
yeah.
blah,
So then
blah.
I was saying that so a boy being born into a single parent home with a mother is probably more difficult than a girl being born into that same home, and possibly more difficult than a girl being born into a home with just a father and no mother.
Yeah, I think
that's the worst of the storm.
I think out of the two comparables I can make, the two scenarios that I can compare would be in this instance, in terms of in supporting what you're saying, is a boy born into a single parent home where it's the mum and there's no male figure, compared to a girl being born into a single parent home where there's no mum, just a dad. Mm-hmm. You can compare those, and I would say I would to a degree argue that it would be more difficult for the boy, because there's not a lot of men that are willing to even be father figures for a child that's not their own, which goes back to what we were talking about before with dating. But I think a girl being born into a single parent home where it's the mum without a father figure can be just as damaging or as difficult as a boy being born into a single parent home where it's just the mum. Because girls...
How so?
Because especially with her impact on how she views... The impact it will have on how she views herself and how she positions herself in the dating world. Because girls, our first love is our dad. It's the first man to love us. That's the first man to show us what loving you is like. He's the first example of what you have, of what a man should be in the realms of loving the opposite sex, in the realms of loving you. And I think without that, it can lead to situations where the girl questions her value.
Definitely, yeah.
As a woman, and also it makes it difficult for her to navigate what true respect, loyalty and love looks like from a man, because she never had it from her dad, and she seeks that in men, and she might, do you know what I mean? That's where
100%.
And I think that is probably one of the most dangerous things for women is for you to not know your value and to not understand what you should and shouldn't accept from a partner, especially in a heterosexual scenario, because it can be dangerous. It can mean that you're accepting the most traumatic situations because of that. Or I
don't even know if it's that. I definitely do think that
without saying the most gruesome things, but it means that I feel like you're more likely to fall into trying to impress men and using your body to do that.
So this is what I was going to say.
Things like that. So there's the more extreme stuff like there's the more extreme stuff like accepting abuse, for example, thinking that's love because you don't know what it really is, all the way down the spectrum to thinking that you have to use your body, your beauty and your sexuality to lure and keep men because you don't know. Do you know
I'd say that the latter is more my experience of,
especially when you're young, you're younger, because younger guys, when you're younger, younger men, like before you learn to have sexual discipline, it's all around my hormones. Like I'm horny all the time. I want to beat.
It's gratifying. What we saying?
Yeah. And some guys will go through the nth degree. Like they'll go at length to get what they want to get because that's all they're thinking with. And it's horrible, but it's part of their biology, and I accept that now. But if you're a young girl who's fallen into that and you're getting attention and, you know, you're thinking that attention is proof of love and respect, and it's not, and you don't realise that till later, but by then the damage is done, you're traumatised. Do you know what I mean? Like, and when you're at an age where you understand things better and you're ready to settle, now you've got all this trauma you got to heal from, and you got to learn yourself and learn the dating scene and what kind of guys you should be going for, and it can get really messy. It can really alter the trajectory of her life in that sense. And I think that is just as bad as a boy being raised in a single parent home where it's just women and he hasn't got a father figure, and the mum happens to be toxic in the way that I've explained before, where she's putting unnecessary pressure on him and she's never got another man, so she treats her, it's this weird incestual relationship with her son and all sorts. I think that can have just as bad impact and can be just as difficult as a girl being raised in a home where there's no daddy to show her what a man.
I think I've seen literally both. I've only got one example though of the boy version, but I've seen many instances of the girl version because of me being a young man and being attracted to girls, and whoever's like actually coming through, and then I'm checking, like, you know what I mean, the family history, and it's very, very similar circumstance that keeps coming back with this fatherless girl being the girl that I'm attracted to and the girl that's really giving in that particular kind of way that I'm seeking. But the version where there's a guy and he's raised in a single parent home with the mother, they're estranged. They don't even talk anymore because of that relationship, and it's wild. And I anytime it doesn't come up in conversation anymore, but anytime it does come up, I challenge it. I'm like, yeah, but like, you know what I mean? We're adults now. So with your adult brain, you have to.
But it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It's very hard.
It's not my life. It's not my lived experience.
It's hard because, like I said, I think people underestimate the impact of your childhood upbringing on your adult life. Like people underestimate how what you went through and the way that you lived and the things that you experienced when you were in the most influential time of your life, how that becomes you as an adult. And I think because a lot of people are walking around with trauma that happened to them from before they were
from
a
where
teen.
they
And that shaped how they view themselves, how they view the world, the decisions they make. Some of them don't even know it until they go through therapy, or maybe they sit and really reflect. Where does this come from? Where does this belief and idea come from? It comes from way back when I was 5, maybe, and I witnessed something. So it's hard to break out of that. And I can't remember where I read somewhere, and I probably will come back to this when I've actually got the number, but apparently our brain is developed in terms of how we see ourselves in the world by as young as, like, I think it's before 10.
Yeah, it'll be something young. Yeah, you'd be like,
is it 7 or 8? Is it 7 or 8? Where
probably
you're
like 7, yeah.
I think it was 7, but I'll come back to this when I check it next time, and maybe next episode I'll double, like.
But you could just put the number on the screen.
I'll confirm it. No, but in terms of like you and I.
Oh, right, to conversation. Yeah.
So like, but I think it's 7 or 8, whereby your perception of the world, the perception of yourself, the perception of other people, and how you see things is cemented by the experiences you've had by as young as that. So you're walking around with that cemented mindset all the way through your life. That's so hard to wind back when you've been dealing with that.
And when you think about it as well, that's only probably about 3 years worth of actual memory. 3
that
or 4.
You can remember. Yeah.
Because it'd probably be about maybe late 3 years old to like 4 years old to the 7 point. That's what makes
Unfortunately.
And for me,
that's crazy, right?
At that point in time, I was surrounded by and afforded so much love. That is the perspective that I understand the world. So when people are not trying to spread love or be, you know what I mean, understanding and whatnot, I'm like, I don't understand you. Like,
for me,
you know what I mean?
I had experienced love, but I'd also experienced a lot of turmoil around who I was as a person in school because I was bullied. So that I know that now. And then again, by the time I was 7, 8, my sister was born, and my sister.
So there's like there's a divide in attention.
No, it's not the divide in attention. It's more I kind of had to grow up faster than I needed to because my sister has cleft lip and palate, and without my parents realizing, I became a source of support for them and my sister from as young as 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. So I had learnt that, okay, you have to be strong for everyone from as young as that. You know what I mean? And it wasn't till recently that last year when I got overwhelmed in life, I got burnt out, and I just said, took a 3-month break from work, and I was, in that time, that's when I realized that, oh, you're tired, but the reason why you're tired is because you feel like you never was actually supported. Like, when stuff is going on with me, it's me, myself, and I felt like that since I was before I was 10, because the attention in terms of like focus, and the person that it felt like needed all the support was my sister, not me. So I didn't, if something was wrong with me, I didn't bring it to the forefront. I just kind of dealt with it the way I knew how, and the way I knew how was to ignore it, push it to the back of your head, like there's other things for you to do, and the big turning point for me in terms of anxiety and my ability to heal and understand myself better was having that conversation with my mum and going, I said to my mum, I don't think you remember the day that we found out about my sister, when, like, at scan, for example. It was at a scan. It's my earliest memory. It's actually my earliest memory. We went to a scan. It's a big one. It's a big turning point for me. But we went to a scan, and I was in the room when they told my parents that this is what my sister had. And immediately, I feel like that was the moment that my whole world changed. And I said to my mum, do you remember that I was in the room that day? And she's like, I knew you were there. And she goes, I knew you were there, but I just didn't think that it would impact you. I didn't think you understood. Yeah, and I must have been about 5. I must have been about 5 or 6. I was 5, yeah, because my sister was born. I turned 6 just after my sister was born or something like that. So I was 5, and that's my earliest memory. I remember I can explain the whole thing, how things smelt, how things looked, everything, how my mum and dad looked, their reaction, everything. Yeah. So it's crazy. Like, people underestimate.
It is insane.
People really underestimate. Not people doing fireworks outside.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
I heard 2 booms, but I thought it was even on my side. I didn't even know what it was.
Nah, doing fireworks.
It's a weird sound.
In August, like, make it make sense. But yeah, like, people underestimate. And you know what? That being said, though, I am seeing, and this is a positive, I am seeing more guys in our age range who have kids who are like, I'm not going to let my child grow up without their dad. And I think that is so beautiful to see. Like, even if it's like, okay, I'm not with the mum anymore, can't stand the mum or whatever, that's never going to happen. But I'm going to be there for my child, because I'll be damned. I'll be damned. And I'm not saying there's not guys our age range within, like, I'm talking like 30s here, late 20s, 30s, who aren't deadbeats, who aren't toxic, who don't.
But late 20s ain't my age range, boy. But
I'm trying to capture the few that are, the few that are younger than us, okay? The 30s range.
I wanna claim it, but real talk, I can't.
Yeah, no, you can't. You really can't. You really can't. And I'm getting to that point too where I really can't as well, to be fair. But yeah, I'm aware that we're a more mature podcast. That could be why our numbers aren't how it is, because our age range, do we have time for a podcast? But anyway, that's another story. Yeah, in our age range, I feel like I'm seeing a lot more men in our age range that are like, I don't have to be with the mum to be there for the child. And it doesn't mean that there's not the few that move mad, but all the ones I know personally and that I've met, they're all like, I'm going to do my best to be present, because I don't want my child to experience what maybe I experienced, or I saw someone that I know experience, type of thing.
Yeah,
I think that's commendable.
I'm similar, but from a different place. Because I'm very much like, I would be in my child's life no matter what. But it's not out of what I didn't have, because all of my didn't have memories, even though I think it would have started within that age range. Maybe I was 7 when my parents split or something. I really can't remember. I remember when it happened. I don't remember how old I was. But because I had so much family, love, connection, and all of that throughout the prior period, that makes up the majority of my memories. It's not for what I wouldn't want my kids to have. It's for what I want my kids to have, if you know what I mean. I'm like, no, I had like, and it was, my upbringing was surreal. In fact, when I compare it to reality and how I see everybody and people even in good situations, I was a very young child born into a family of sisters who are all like maybe 1 year between my mum and her sisters, my aunts. So I had all of my aunties, all of my uncles, then my dad and his brothers and sisters at my beck and call. It was just me because I'm a young baby for their generation. My mum had me at 20. No one else had kids yet. There was my gran, and then I didn't have siblings till good 10 years later. I had all my grandparents. One of my early memories is of my granddad passing away, but I didn't know him. So my memory, even though I remember being at the bedside, he was in a hospital, and like my mom was there, my gran was there, her sisters, etc., around the bed crying. That was my first experience of death. And this is why I have a very like disjointed relationship with death. I didn't have a relationship with him, so I just was there with them. And I've never really been affected by death, other than when my granny died, because to me that felt like the first time I'd ever experienced it. Even though I'd had friends that had passed away, I'm very like disconnected with it. I'm like, it happens, because I've seen it in my youth. It just happens, and you're just there with people. But when my nan passed away, I was like, oh my God, this is someone I love, and they're gone. And then there was just this whole thing, which I'd expect from anyone anyway, because it's a close relative. But considering I've had a lot of friends pass away in my lifetime, even before my nan and my granddad, from when I was like, I don't know, maybe about 6. The first time was when my nan passed. That was the first death I ever experienced. I was like, oh my word. The whole world ended. But that's, again, when I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, but this is your childhood. Like, you experienced death so early, and it was such a disjointed experience where you were just with all your relatives that you love, and they were just all very sad, and you just consoled them because you didn't have a relationship with the person who they were weeping over.
I get that's your earliest memory, but remember I was just saying that there's a lot more guys in our generation that actually are trying to be there for their dad, like for their kids, and you're like, oh, I see that, but from a different perspective. And I'm trying to think how that's linked.
So I'm saying I see that from when you explained it, it seemed like it was from the perspective of they didn't have both parents there, and they don't want their kids to have the same upbringing.
Some of them, some of them, not all.
But I'm saying that mine is from the other perspective, because I did have both parents there for quite some time, and I had a lot of other relatives as well, more than the average person probably would have, which I didn't know was abnormal. But upon reflection, I see how abnormal my upbringing was. I had more love and support than someone typically would have, even if they had both parents, kind of thing. So I'm like, I would try my best to try and replicate that if it was possible.
For me, it's different. Bearing in mind I come from a 2-parent home, and my parents are still very much in love. They still do romance, which is sickening. Low-key jealous. But anyway, for me, if I happen to fall pregnant and I end up being a single-parent mum, I think I'm more like you. I'd want to try and replicate as much as I can as a singular parent for my child as much as possible, so that they don't have that. But like I said, I'm seeing a lot more people are actually like wising up to the fact that I need to be there for my kid. Like I have to be responsible, and I think that's good. I feel
100%, man.
Even in the
I think you've got to be there more than people think.
But even in the podcast world, like some of these like toxic male podcasters that have kids, I'm seeing that they're talking about it more. That I'm there for my kid, I'm this for my kid, and you know. So it seems like we're moving in a more positive direction, at least from our generation, compared to the ones before. And that doesn't mean that it's everyone. I know that there's some people that are still moving mad, but you know.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, I feel like we should end it there.
Wrap this up.
Wrap it up. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening to the show. If you made it this far, please subscribe and give us a like. If you
Sorry, there's sirens in mine, but yeah.
We're in the
You can just mute my mic.
We're
in the ghetto. What can I say? We're in the ghetto.
We're in the hood. Yeah, subscribe, like. If you're listening on the audio platforms, please don't forget to give us a 4 or 5 star rating, ideally a 5. And also interact with the questions as well, because especially if you're listening on Spotify, there's like questions. Just answer one of them. It doesn't even take that. Answer the poll or something, not too much. If you want to shout out, please comment on this episode. Just let us know that you're there. QR code for our Instagram is on the screen right now. You know what to do. And that's it, really. Again, thank you so much if you've come this far. If you've got anything you want to add, take away, any opinions you have on the topic at hand, please let us know. Drop it in the comments. And yeah, man. Until next time, guys.
Peace.
Peace. Boo, 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 boo.